Hello, hello, hello to everyone, and welcome to Old Women Who Write, to another interview with a fascinating person. I have with me today Sam Nace. Sam is, well, she's an entrepreneur at heart, I think. That would be my term. Um, Sam and I have never met in person. This is the closest we've gotten. I believe we talked on the telephone one time when Sam was living in the States and running a publishing company. She is currently living in Stuttgart, Germany, and she is, and I don't know if this is a new thing or if she's been doing it for years. We'll find out together. But she is having a writer's retreat in Italy that I would die to be at. But anyway, um, so let's just talk to let's let Sam fill it in. Let's talk to Sam. Welcome, Sam.
Welcome. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
It's good to
absolutely.
be welcomed, and it is good to see you too, Jean.
I know. Finally, we almost meet in person. We meet with each other's images at least, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And Sam is a member of Old Women Who Write in the Facebook group. For any of you who out there who would like to join it, we are now over 150 strong women who write, and a couple of men who write, and a couple of people who aren't old women. Sam is not an old woman, but she's striving to be one. Okay,
Absolutely.
So Sam, back up. First, what are you doing in Germany?
Well, I am married to Fred Nace, and he is a 23-year Army guy working mostly in intelligence and as a Russian linguist. And he retired back in 2008, but we met and married in 2016. And he said, "Hey, I just took a job in Germany. Do you want to come with me?" I said, "Sure. As long as I can bring my little dog, I'm happy to be on an adventure." So we came to Germany, ran off to Denmark, just days shy of my visa running out to go get married. And for those who don't know, the military in Europe calls it the Denmark, the Las Vegas of Europe,
Oh, really? Oh, I
because
didn't
you
know.
can go in like 24 hours is all the notice you need.
Oh, wow, that's
So
funny.
he took a job over here again. We were home. We were here for 3 years. Then we moved home for 4 years over the COVID times, and then we just moved back here in December.
Okay.
So yeah, we're having a great time learning a different style of German. It's sort of Schwäbisch here.
Hmm.
So it's not the high German I'm accustomed to. So I'm learning almost a whole new language
Oh,
now that I'm here.
it's that different.
It is that different. And if you go even further south to Bavaria, it's different even more.
Oh my goodness, I was not aware of that. Wow.
Yes, yes, it's interesting. It's a lot like dialects in the States where, if you've got a northerner that moves down south, they
Yeah.
can't understand anything until they understand that dialect
Yes. Got it.
and get those accents going.
Right. Let's back up because I want people to know you and feel your spirit of entrepreneurship. When you were here in the States for those 4 years, you were in Hendersonville, North Carolina, which is how we were sort of in contact because I
That's
lived
home.
next door, right, in Flat Rock, North Carolina. You owned a publishing company. What does that mean? What does that mean? What did you do? And why
Well,
did you do it?
it grew. The Cheerful Word is my base company and my very passion and my heart, because that's just my gift. It's sort of what I was born to do, is help elicit stories in people's hearts and lives and help them explore their lives and write it as memoir. But after a while, people started saying, "I really want to put this in a book format. Can you make it look nice?"
Hmm.
So I discovered how to use, Amazon had just come out and KDP was out. So I
Yes.
thought, oh, I can help a couple of friends do this. Sure, why not? And pretty soon I was publishing books. So I took 4 years. The last time I was in Germany, I spent all that time learning about publishing and if I really wanted to get into it. So I became a hybrid publisher and we opened Mountain Page Press,
Hmm.
in addition to Vintage Photo Scan, which is the company that scans old photos and memorabilia and VHS tapes and slides and all that stuff you've got shoved in the closet from
Gosh,
days gone by.
I wish I had known about you when I mean, I know about you, but that aspect, because I had such difficulty getting photos, my old photos, into my book, getting them
Yes,
in the proper whatever format, size, all of those terms. I had no idea there was a place I could go to get help with that.
yeah, and we're actually in the process of selling it to another local businessman. So it should be open again, hopefully by autumn, maybe this winter.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it'll be open again under Vintage.
Okay.
So
So
we're happy to have that stay at home.
did you enjoy it when you were doing that, the publishing?
I enjoyed most of it. I had hired a publisher because I knew that I wanted to focus on the cheerful word and hosting workshops and retreats and
Yes.
doing one-on-one coaching. And then my publisher's wife got pregnant rather unexpectedly. And he said, I need to go get a real job with benefits. So he left. Then I was stuck with these 3 companies and I was completely overwhelmed. So I said, Fred, can you leave your job up in Asheville and please come help me run these other 2 companies? So we did for a good long time. And Mountain Page Press is now reduced. I'm only taking people that I work with on their memoirs
Yeah.
because it's too much work. And
Yeah.
even though it's a helpful thing to do, it's not my passion. And of course, Vintage, we've already closed.
Well, let me ask you, a lot of the women who are in Old Women Who Write Facebook group
Mhm.
do self-publish or hybrid publish. Um,
And that's what we
as
that's
we
what
know,
we are, is a hybrid publisher.
yes,
Yeah,
it's utterly impossible for a new writer to get into any traditional publishing company.
it really is.
It,
It
it
really is.
truly is, and I just read this week that Macmillan is now been sold to a business person who,
I hadn't heard that. Oh my
yes,
goodness.
yes. So as the headline said, they are now out of the publishing business and into the money-making business.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
going to be even harder for any unknown person to get
Yeah.
published in
Yeah. If
a
you don't have a
traditional way.
100,000 followers and a big brand, it's really hard to convince them to take
What
you
what
on.
what kind of advice might you give to a writer wanting to be published and considering hybrid? Do you have any what would you recommend, or what should they look for or look at or look out for?
Look for the services, first of all.
Mhm.
Try to find someone as local or regional as you can. There's a wonderful company in Chapel Hill that I'm now sharing some writers with because they're not memoir or they haven't worked with me, but they've come to me to publish. And I'm sending them to Wisdom House Books, and they have been fantastic. The
Wisdom
women who
House.
have worked, the women who have worked with them just love them because they also have a marketing arm, which is
Oh,
also very expensive
very.
and really difficult to do on your own because almost anybody can publish a book if you self-publish it, but it's getting it into the hands of the people who really want your story the most. That's the hardest part. And I always tell people, always write a book because you have a story to share and not because you want to make money.
Yes. Yes.
That's gravy if you can make the money. But yeah, read contracts very carefully. Hire an attorney to
Really?
review that contract with you because I've known several of authors have come to us and we've published their books after they've had a terrible experience
Mm.
spending $5, 10, $20,000 on another hybrid publisher. Even though there's a pretty good balance in what that definition is.
Yes.
It's, the publisher puts in about half and the author puts in about half for the cost of the book. And then the author gets a lot more royalties than you would from a traditional publisher. Simon and Schuster might pay you 4 or 5%, even if you get picked up. And that's after you pay back all of your money that they gave you up front.
Yeah.
So it usually takes years, and then you get pennies on the dollar on the book.
Right.
So hybrid publishing, usually you can count on between 55 or 100% royalties. So it's a lot like self-publishing. And this is also why I like Wisdom House, because they're very transparent. It's a husband and wife team. They've been doing it for a long time, and they keep up with all of the changes in the industry that can trip people up, like all the changes in Ingram that go on, and all the changes in Kindle publishing. Same thing. They change their rules, or the sizes of the covers, or what's required for an ISBN, and
Mhm.
you start, your eyes get crossed asking all the questions. So
Yeah.
one of the questions is, make sure you feel good, that your publisher feels like a friend.
Mm.
There's not a lot of in between people. That there's someone there. I used to call my publisher. He was in charge of the care and feeding of my authors.
Oh,
And that's really what it is. You want a partner in the publishing world. And if you don't feel a partnership with your publisher, or if there's too many people involved between you and the publisher, and if your gut just tells you it doesn't feel right, then don't do it.
and am I
Mhm.
right that prices range? You gave, I think, one range. Is there a going rate, or is there a wide range in costs?
There is a wide range depending on the services you're hiring. If you're
Gotcha.
just hiring them to publish your book, you can probably look at between $7,000 and $10,000.
Mhm.
If you're hiring them to do the marketing, add another 5 or 6,000
Yeah. Yeah.
and up, depending on how much you want them to do for you.
Got it.
And know the difference between publicity and PR.
Mm.
Publicity is, getting you on radio shows and podcasts like
Yeah.
this, and you know, really getting your face in front of the people who want to read your book and want to know more about your
Right.
story. Um, and the regular PR is just marketing, sales and marketing, keeping up with social media and all of that kind of thing.
Right. Right.
And they'll do that on your behalf, but it does cost a good amount of money. But I know someone, she self-publishes. I think she's on her 8th or 9th book, and she self-publishes, but she hires a marketing company, and she spends $6,000 a month on
What?
marketing. No kidding. But she makes $20,000 a month in profits. So
Wow.
it is a no-brainer. She
Right.
just hires this person, and they know exactly what they're doing for each of her books and each of those audiences and how to reach them.
Wow.
So it pays off if you can just get past that first hurdle of, that big investment up
Yeah.
front.
Yeah.
Uh, It's worth
Wow.
it.
Yeah. I mean, I think for all of us who are writing, all of us old women who write, we have to be doing it for the love of it. We
Absolutely.
are not in
Absolutely.
it to make money. I mean, it's very clear whether we get picked up by a traditional company, whether we do it a hybrid publisher, whether we do it entirely by ourselves, we're not
Mhm.
going to make money from this, money to
Exactly.
live on, money that goes to our support. That got really clear to me. Um, for me, my entire purpose was just to write it, just to get it out, get it out there. And,
Yep.
then of course I want others to read it, and hope that it is a gift, I hope, for people when they read it.
Absolutely. It
Um,
sounds so inspiring. I can't wait to read your book, Feisty.
it's fun. It's good. Next week. Ta-da! Next week it
Right?
comes out, the 29th. Very exciting. Okay, let's get back. So now you're in Germany, and
Yes.
I want to say your focus has shifted to another aspect of the oh, I've forgotten the name, the create your whole enterprise, creative
The cheerful
no,
word.
cheerful word, sorry, I
Mhm.
just lost the word. Um, you're doing writer retreats, particularly for memoir. Were you doing those before you went to Germany? Or is this a
Yes.
new thing?
I did that before. before Germany.
Oh,
Hang on just one second. So my husband keeps trying to get a hold of me for some
oh,
reason.
oh,
Oh, repeat the question. I went right off the track.
sure, sure, sure. See, that's what I mean. These are real conversations. They're not in the studio, formal. Um, is it a new thing for you to be putting on the writers' retreats now that you're in Germany, or did you do it before that?
I actually did them before that. My first one, I had just taken my 8-week workshop where we met once a week as a group in person. And I thought, I think I want to make this a retreat because people miss each other so much. They're talking to each other as a group through the whole week. It's usually about 6 people in the group.
Hmm?
Um, and they just want more. And when it ends, there's tears and laughter, and they don't want it to end. And I thought, oh my gosh, I need to do something where we can spend more time together, where there's no distractions, going home and feeding the family, walking the dog, cleaning the house, and then trying to get focused on your writing again was hard.
Hmm.
So I thought, let's just make some retreats because I want to write and travel. Who doesn't want to go to a hotel for a week and just write?
That's right. Yeah, you got it.
So I thought, hey, other people will want to join me. So I thought, let's just do this. And I did. So the first one was, of course, I wanted to launch my first one right in 2020. That was not going to happen. But at the end of 2021, I hosted one in Laurel Park, up at the inn up there.
That's in North Carolina, folks. Yeah.
Yep, Laurel Park, yeah, right up in Hendersonville, right up the hill.
Mhm.
And that was lovely. I learned a lot from that first one. Then I took a course
Was this just before everything shut down?
right after it started peaking back open and the
Yeah.
hotels started opening back up. So we went just as that like second wave was just had
Oh,
died down.
gotcha.
And I had people from Florida and where was she? Michigan and Boston, and then the rest were from Hendersonville. So it was really lovely blend of people. Some I knew, some I didn't. And that went well. Then I took some training on how to lead a fun and profitable real retreat for the mind, the body, the spirit, and do what you love to do. And for me, that was helping people write their life stories.
Mhm.
Um, and so I changed a lot of what I did, changed up my website. And so I tell people it's basically just one page right now, and that will be changing in the next month or two once this one's done. To give them a really immersive experience was
Yeah.
really the goal. And the conversations that happened, one of my students dubbed it memoir magic. And I thought, that's perfect because I can't describe it. I can't explain how or why it happens. But somehow I have this gift to curate a space in which people feel really good about entrusting stories they've never even said out loud
Yes.
to another person, oftentimes. And they've written it out and then they share it out loud with the group. And it's very supportive, very encouraging, very inspiring. And then once it's out there, you start building on it. And I think you had talked in one of your videos about one memory leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And it's just this wonderful, it's like unfolding all the gray matter and the memories just start flying out. And
Yes.
it's so much fun. And it's really wonderful to see that happen in real time and not between a workshop session.
Yes.
So now I'm holding them in Europe. My second one was also in Western North Carolina in Blowing Rock at the Chitola Inn there. And that was also beautiful. And this one is my first European one. Finally, I got out of the States to host one because I wanted to travel. And I've got some people coming with me. I've got a couple of seats left open. And so if you want to come to Italy,
Oh, yes. Tell us
find
where.
out quick. Go to cheerfulword.com or just write me at sam@cheerfulword. And I'll give you all the details because it's September 2nd through 9th.
Whoa, come on.
So it's coming right up. I'm leaving next week. I'm going a couple of days early and setting up. But it's not too late. I've had people register the day before a retreat and get a flight and fly in. So it's not unusual, and there's nothing wrong with signing up at the last minute.
Well, I want to get back to that, and do not let us get off without your giving again all the details and how they can reach you. But let's back up a little bit. Why memoir?
Oh my gosh. I will make a very long story short. I was the third of three kids. So I was the baby, 11 years after the last one. So I was an oops baby.
Oh yeah.
We were all born in December 4th, and December 18th. My dad always blamed the green beer. We're of Irish and Welsh heritage. So, yeah, my parents said, well, we do it at least once a year. And I'm like, that was too much information. I will ever know. But my mother was getting her master's in nursing at the time, and she wasn't going to leave work like she did for the first two kids. And when the neighbor lady wasn't available to watch me, I would just go to the nursing home with mom. And because it was a private nursing home, just 80 beds, I would toddle around from room to room.
Wow.
And back when children were to be seen and not heard, I would just sit in a chair, and I was also naturally shy at that time. And I would just stare at somebody until they started talking. And when they realized they had an audience and they could tell stories, I learned a lot about what it was like, because these were people who lived through World War I.
Yes.
And I was amazed at how cheerful they were. Their bodies were betraying them, some minds were betraying them. But overall, they had this cheerful demeanor. And I thought, how is it that you can be in this place and still be happy on your reflections and this nostalgia? And they said, well, it's not rose-colored glasses because you've heard of all the, rough times we had. But I can look back on that and see how it shaped who I became as an adult and who I am today. And I went, oh, that's it.
Yes.
And so I became a home health aide to stay near that elder population. And they're my people. They're just my heart.
Yeah.
And then I got a degree in public communication. I was still a home health aide, and writing these stories on the side. And finally, fast forward through opening a couple of other businesses, working for other companies as a training and development director, I decided I really need to get back to writing. That's what I'm good at. And I had some time and space because I was now caregiving for my mother in our house.
Yes.
And it just started flowing. One of my friends said, Sam, you look like shit. You need to get out of the house. I said, okay, thank you, Lonnie. I love you too. And she said, you're a social person and you haven't been out of the house for 6 months watching your mom. You need to come out. So I went. It was 8 women. I said, I don't really do anything right now. I'm doing some medical editing and I write some memoirs on the side for people. And a woman took me aside and asked me a question. She said, this is going to change your life. And I thought, oh, she's from South California. I know it. Southern California. Here we go with the woo-woo. Well, she was right. But I had all the answers. And the question she asked me was, if you had all the time and money in the world, how would you spend it? And she said, no one can answer this right away. Take some weeks or months and think about it. And I said, oh no, I know right away. I want to help people write their life stories. I want to ride my Harley around North America. I want to travel to Europe. I want to do this. I want to do that. And she's like, oh, wow. Okay. Tell me more about this story writing and how much will you charge me to write my memoir? And the Cheerful Word was born. It was 1999. And I started writing, and then I really created the Cheerful Word about 2006. So I've been doing this, yes, my whole life, but professionally for about 20 years.
Wow. Tell me what someone would expect coming to your Cheerful Word memoir retreat in Italy. What is it, 3 days, 4 days? And what happens during that time?
It is 8 days.
8 days. Oh my.
If you're going to fly to Europe, I want to make it worthwhile. Now I do host them in small towns where it's very quiet. This is not a tourist trip where you're going to see the sights. We will see some sights. We've got a couple of excursions, but they're quiet and they're short, because mostly what writers need is time and open space and some inspiration
Mhm.
and support and direction and guidance on what is a writing voice and how do I develop it, and what is a theme and how do I develop it. So I teach these things,
Oh.
and each day I teach on a different topic, so to speak. Like we will watch a couple of videos and learn from Brene Brown,
Mhm.
and then talk about how that relates to your own life and becoming more vulnerable with yourself first, and then pouring that out onto the paper and then sharing it with this intimate group of people, which is all confidential. Everyone signs confidentiality agreements because it's that important to me.
Yes. Yes.
And they can expect to really discover themselves. In fact, that's the name of the retreat, is Discover Your Extraordinary Self.
Oh my.
And it's a memoir writing retreat to give voice to your story and celebrate your life.
Wow.
So for some people, it will be, like you had mentioned, it will be overcoming something, a stress or a trauma or an experience that they've had. For other people, it's a coming of age story that's highlighting the 70s and the bra burning and everything else that they did. And for other people, it will be focused on a career that they stumbled into and really loved, and they want to honor that chapter in their life.
Mhm.
So it can be just about anything. And some people come with knowing exactly what they want to write, and 9 times out of 10, they change their minds once they go through the prompts and once they start sharing their stories aloud, which is really the magic of it.
Yes.
Um, because people respond to you and they're encouraging to you, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, someone else had that experience. I thought I was the only one."
Mhm.
So you know that you're connected not only more deeply to your own story, but to the story of others.
That's
So it's
wonderful. I will
wonderful.
tell you what I find so different about what you're doing. I have been tempted. I have no idea what my next book adventure, writing adventure is. Okay. Although I want to know, I want to have a writing adventure, but I just haven't committed to anything. And most of the writing retreats or workshops or really retreats that I look at seem to be for people who are in the midst of writing something and they just need to get away, have
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time. And I kept thinking, I don't fit there. I couldn't pay a bunch of dollars, a bunch of shekels for a place to go when I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm writing next.
right, right.
But yours, the way you're doing it, it has room for people like me, who
Absolutely. And
say, I
that's
know I
pretty
want
much
to
the
write.
purpose
Yeah, yeah.
behind it, is to do that exploration. So the whole week is focused on exploring your story from a very different perspective. And I'll teach on the elements, 4 elements of water, fire, which is not really an element, but it's based on wood, air, and earth. And so as we go through these experiences, what does water do for us? What does being connected with the earth do for us? How do we shift our perspective on ourselves? One of the things I do is define yourself through your senses. What if you were a color? What color are you and why?
Mhm,
What kind of a scent are you and why?
mhm,
If you were a texture, what are you? Like a fabric, what would you be?
mhm,
And what about you makes you that texture or that scent or that flavor or whatever?
mhm,
So we really take you away from all this traditional methods of writing. There's no outlines, there's no tables of contents,
mhm.
there's no real theme that we start out with, because I always love to make room for it to bubble to the surface. It's kind of
Yes,
like carbonated water, where
yes.
as soon as you start writing these things, the story that wants to be told will show up
Mm,
very boldly and unequivocally. You'll know that's what I need to write, because you'll have this aha moment and you'll say, "Oh my gosh, that was it. That's what I need to write about. I don't need to write about the husband I cared for 7 years as he was dying from ALS.
right.
I want to write about my life because I had a really fun and adventuresome life.
Right.
And yes, he's a chapter in it, but I don't want to, I want to honor me. I don't want to, I can spend all the time in the world honoring someone else.
Hmm.
Now this time is for me to honor my life.
Yeah.
And she had a ball. She wrote and she laughed and cried. And she's one of the women that I put on my poster because she's standing out by a tree out in the mountains, just looking up and just inhaling the air with the sun on her face. Oh, it was just such a beautiful thing.
Wow. Does any part of what you do involve, um, I think the word is the craft of writing? Do you
A
know?
little bit. Yep, we
Okay.
delve into that because the goal is to write as much as you can because the teaching is in the morning.
Yes.
In the afternoons, you have all to yourself. I just call it my me time
Hmm.
because you can get a massage, you can walk around town, you can take a nap,
You
you
could
can,
write.
of course, you can write, which is what all that extra time is for.
Yeah.
Um, and then we come together again for dinner. And then I do something called a sip and scribe where you can enjoy a glass of wine if you want to. And I have a really fun little prompt that's completely wacky that we write on. And it's a fond memory, very specifically fond memory. And you only write for 10 minutes. And
Right.
then you share your story and then off to bed we go. And then the brain works on that overnight.
Fun. Really
So
fun.
I do teach about what is a writing voice.
Yes.
And I ask 5 foundation questions. And I ask this of all my writers. The first one is, what do you hope to achieve with your story or your book? Who is your primary audience?
Hmm.
Maybe do you have a secondary one? Um, the most important one I have found that I ask is, how do you want those readers to feel when they close the book at the end?
Mm.
And then is the fourth one is, what's your primary theme of your book? And the fifth one is there a parallel story that you can tell, that you can weave into your narrative so that people aren't reading just about one thing all
Oh,
the way through?
oh, wow.
So it's usually one chapter in your life, or something that you've carried with you throughout life, like music or art.
Right.
Um, but in between, that music or that art has taught you things, and you've had experiences with people, because a lot of our memoirs, hint, hint, is not about us.
Yep.
It's about our experiences with other people in other places.
Yes. Yes.
And it's just a wonderful thing. And it's the springboard from which you can define who you want to be for all your tomorrows. You get to author your life. You get to write down how you want to be remembered in words, how you want to be seen today, and how you're different from how you were in your younger years,
Yeah.
and who you want to be for all your tomorrows. And
Oh, that's
that is
quite
really
lovely.
the beauty of it. So I do teach some of the tips and the tools of writing, but we
Hmm.
don't spend a lot of time there because I really just want it to come out. Just pour it out on the page as much as possible. We can deal with all the technical stuff later.
Yes.
You've got 8 days to thoroughly enjoy yourself, rest, relax, and write your panties off.
Right. Sam, it just sounds so wonderful. So wonderful. I'm really hoping you that even if we can't make it to Italy this go around, maybe next go around, but I would hope that some of the people who are watching us here are just inspired to be there with you. Tell us again, tell us the dates, the the location, everything that you deem important about if people are interested in coming.
Sure. It is going to be held in Montalparo, Italy. It's a little town on a hilltop in the March region, with views of the Adriatic Sea and the Sibillini Mountains. So we're nestled right between the two. It's just beautiful. September 2nd through 9th of this year. So just a couple of
And
weeks,
it's in
not
a
even a couple of weeks
ho
away.
is it a hotel setting? Is that?
It's a boutique hotel that only has 10 rooms. And essentially, we have the whole hotel to
Oh my
ourselves.
goodness. Oh my
And
goodness.
her husband's a chef, and it includes your rooms. Everyone gets a private room. It includes your room, which is air conditioned, which is unheard of in Europe.
Yes.
Um, The restaurant's on site, and her husband is the chef. He serves a 4-course Italian dinner every night, and we go out 2 or 3 times.
Mm.
And then we write. We learn in the morning, we share over meals, and then we write. And the cost is $54.97. It includes everything except your airfare.
It's very reasonable. That's very
Yes,
reasonable.
yes, for 8 days.
My gosh.
I
Yeah.
did everything I could to squeeze it all in. So we're gonna take a minibus to the beach, Pedaso Beach, which is like 25 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a, what do they call it? A blue flag beach. So it has some sort of certification that's,
Ah,
earth friendly.
right.
And the hotel itself is very eco-friendly. And we're also going to some ruins. The hotel owner, Madeline, is calling the mayor of the town next door because it was the only picnic spot
Oh,
nearby where we could sit outside and I could have my earth element experience and we could have a picnic lunch. So we're going to have a picnic lunch in the ruins.
oh, how lovely.
They're marvelous. She's just marvelous.
Wow. All right, tell them, how can they reach you? Anyone who's interested, how can they reach you?
You can email me. I'm also on WhatsApp. You can email me at sam@cheerfulword.com.
Say it again.
sam@cheerfulword.com.
Okay.
And my website is cheerfulword.com. And all of the details are there. The daily itinerary, the food, what you get, what's not included, what is included.
Right.
Yeah. So just contact me and let me know. If you're interested, I will work out. I know it's last minute, and I can probably work out a payment plan for if somebody needs one to make 2, maybe 3 payments over 2 or 3 months. I might be able to work that out.
Okay. Well, Sam, I wish I could be there at this one. I'll be doing my own book tour at the time. So
I know. Congratulations.
Thank you. But I'm really, it's inspiring to talk to you. It's inspiring to hear why you do what you do. We were talking when I said Macmillan has been sold. I think I said to you, Macmillan has now been sold to a business person who's going to focus on making money. And that is so predominant in our world today, the making money aspect, that it's a joy to talk to someone who does what they do because it's their heart, because it's what, as you said, you were born to do. So it's a pleasure to talk to you about this. And I would trust the cheerful word. I would trust the word of the cheerful word.
Well, thank you. And I do believe that's my tagline is everyone's life is a story worth telling. And I said that first when I was a teenager to one of my clients. And she said, why do you want to write my story? I've got nothing but bad news. I was born into hardship. I lived hardship. And I said, and yet here you are.
Yeah.
Here you are. And she said, you're right. Hey, that's right. And I said, everybody's life is a story worth telling. I really do believe it with all my heart. And it's my goal in life to help as many people as possible.
Lovely. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thank you for having me.
The last stretches of planning and organizing for your retreat. I'm happy that you're going to get to go there a couple of days early and have some time to yourself.
Yes.
That's quite lovely.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. So thank you. And everyone out there, I know not everyone on Old Women Who Write Facebook page are memoir writers, but many of us are memoir writers. So you couldn't do better than to hook yourself up with the cheerful word. So
thank you.
Thank
that
you
means so much.
Here. See you next time.